I'll start running you through the process of how I'd like to fish microjigs. This will probably be a two-part kind of series because I'd like to make a video when there's pelagics around, like blue runners and stuff like that, and right now there is none. So I'll start off this video with just showing you how to tie assist hooks for microjigs, and then I'll just run through the basic movements of what I like to do. So first I'll just show you a little bit about how to make the assist hooks. Before I show you how to tie assists, I'm going over the footage and it seems like it's not super clear to follow what I'm doing because I don't have a vise and the braids I'm using are very thin. So I'm just gonna show you the nail knot that I use to tie my assist hooks with a big hook and some more visible braid, just so it's easier for you to follow in the future. All you need: the hook, the line, and a loop tool. The braid goes into the hook, facing the hook point, always. The braid goes in like this. If you're using a hook with a flat shank, you can tie it however you want, but then just twist it around with your finger and make sure the line that goes towards your other hook or your solid ring or whatever is facing towards the point of the hook. So line goes in. I'm gonna use a long tag here so it's easier for you to follow. And then our loop tool will face the same place as the point of the hook. And then a loop. If you tied a snell knot before, this is basically the same process as snell knot. So we're gonna put a loop, and then we're gonna tie 4 wraps around the entire hook. Very loose wraps. Like so. And then we go through our loop tool, pull it through, and then we just pull our loop tool and bring our tag end through all of the loops. So once you've gotten the bulk of it through, just hold your wraps and pull the rest of it. And it should be like this. There should be a loop here at the front, and your line should go through that loop. And then here, you've got all your wraps, and then you're just gonna pull from the line that goes through the hook. Now, at this point, just make sure you're doing everything carefully, hold your wraps, and make sure that none of them overlap, and they should just sit nice and tightly close together. Go slowly here, you don't need to rush, and then before you tighten, just pat them down like this, and you can see all of the wraps are holding close together. At this point, once you've made sure that everything is nice and even, you can twist it like that, wet it, and then cinch. Especially if you have hooks with a ring, you can just pull it haphazardly. If you're using hooks with a flat shank like this one, just make sure you tighten really, really well before you pull from here. Just tighten the whole knot using the tag end and then pull it up with your fingers and then do the last bit of tightening and then lock it down. So hopefully that little tutorial shows you an easier way to tie the nail knot. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly run you through how I like to tie my assist. What you'll need is a sharp pair of scissors, something fine to like cinch your assist with. You can use tweezers or some pliers or something like that. A bobbin, optional, but it helps a lot with tying your wraps very tightly. I'm using some thin braid here. A loop tool, this is a threading needle with a loop on it, but you can just use a loop of braid. Some cord, I'm using Kevlar cord here, but you can also use like some thicker braid. A solid ring, assist hooks, you can do 1 or 2, I'm doing 2 for this one, and then optionally you can do flash or rubber tinsel, I'll do both. Our cord, I'm gonna take a pretty big piece, just so it will be a bit easier to show you. Lay our loop tool in line with the loop of our hook, the ring, and then we're gonna make a loop like this on the front of the hook. Now we're gonna tie 4 very loose wraps going down, 4, and then we're going to put our tag end through the loop and then pull it through the entire knot. I'm just gonna wet it and then tighten, and once it's gotten to a certain point it will lock, as you can see. Now I'm just gonna trim this. At this point you should consider how long you want your final assist to be. I've got here just a model of the jigs I use, and here I've got just a cutout of how big the jigs are, and I'll try to make the gap in between my hooks just a little bit longer than the entire length of the jig. So that'll be like that, and I'll do maybe this much. So I want my hook, my second hook, to be fastened around there. So I'm gonna put my loop with the point being just at the point here. So we're gonna do the same thing with the other hook now. With our tag end. As you can see, that's basically both hooks tied. Firstly, put my solid ring in, and then I'm gonna tie my flash and my tinsel, or my rubber tinsel and my flash together in what I think is the easiest way to tie them. So we're gonna keep them even together and pull our solid ring, and like that we've got our assists done. Now we're gonna tie our extras, so some tinsel, take 1 strand like that, and this is a bit long for these assist hooks, so I'm gonna cut it in half and then use both of the strands. So take it in half like that, and then I'm gonna take this here. We're gonna do an overhand, and then this is where the tweezers come in. We're gonna put it through the loop that we made and grab both tag ends and then just pull them through. And then just pull the tag ends, and that will tighten like so. Don't need to do it very tight. This rubber tinsel will snap if you put too much pressure on it, so it doesn't need to be very hard. And then you just put them snug like that. Now we'll do the other one. So we're gonna repeat the process that we just did with the flash. So we got our overhand, put the tweezers through, pull the flash through, and then here, before you tighten, just take this knot that you've got here and just pull it all the way down. Again, don't tighten here, just before you've cinched the knot, pull both tags from each side, and like that the base knot will come very close to the solid ring, like that. I'm gonna pull the knot down as far as you can, and before we cinch the knot we're gonna pull both ends, and that will get our flash down like that. So now we're just gonna hold our flash close to the braid, and we're gonna pull our tinsel down, and like that we've got everything bunched up. And now all we do is we're gonna use the bobbin to secure everything together. We're just gonna make a loop here, hold it like this, and then we're just gonna wrap around the base a few times. Then we've got our loop here. Hopefully this shows on camera because it's a very thin braid. We're gonna take our braid tag, pass it through that loop, and pull. Again, don't tighten too much here because this rubber tinsel is soft and it will snap if you put too much pressure on it. Cut off the tag. And then we're gonna do a couple of additional wraps to fasten everything together. Okay, now we're gonna leave a big tag here and cut it. And now from here, we're just gonna do a couple of overhands. I like to do 3, I think 3 is enough. We're also gonna put some glue on this to hold it together. You just want to make sure your knot is tight, all the wraps are holding together, and that's just enough. It's good to put some glue, or in my case I'm gonna put some UV resin. Just a little bit, just so everything holds together. Doesn't need a lot, just a little tiny blob. Go all around. And that's about it. And that's basically a pair of assist hooks done. Okay, so now that we got through that, let's talk a little bit about how to move the jig. So I think it's really important to move your jig consistently within a cast. So I don't like to go 3 twitches and then I'll do 4 or 5 twitches. I kind of like to keep it always the same within a cast, because like that you can really tell how active the fish are, what kind of speed they want, what kind of movement or whatever, how long the pause is and stuff like that. So I'm on bottom, and the very most basic movement is just a twitch and then a pause, right? But you just need to add more twitches or less twitches and shorten or lengthen the pause. And I would probably start off from like 2 or 3 twitches with a 1 second pause on bottom if the bottom is not snaggy, and then work your way up and down from there. So say I'm doing 3 twitches and then I'm letting it sink, and the jig would probably take 2 seconds to sink. And then once I'm on bottom, so 2 seconds, I'll count to 1 and then go again, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and then the jig has been on bottom for 1 second and I'm moving again, right? So be aware of those timings, because they do make a difference in how many bites you're getting. And if you are taking note of that and then you do catch a fish, you can repeat that process. Like if there were pelagic fish, you would do exactly what we did, but just increase the amount of twitches and the time you're reeling for, right? So you go from the bottom and just go like this, small twitches and reel slowly, and then stop, and then small twitches and reel slowly and stop. And then you can go a little bit faster or slow down incrementally. And if there's a fish swimming around and they'll see that flashing little bait fish going up the water column, and then it stops and then it starts going again, a lot of times they'll hit you on the pauses when you're doing that kind of movement. Now, if there's a lot of current or the water is really turbulent or there's wind especially, so you can't really see your line go slack, it's important that you keep in mind how long your jig is taking to get to the bottom, right? So we'll cast, retrieve our extra line and let it sink. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7 seconds and we're on bottom. Yeah. So then I'll do, for example, 5 twitches and see how long it takes. 1, 2, 3, and we're on bottom. So then we'll do 3 twitches. 1, 2, and 2 seconds. So instead of always looking at your line, because wind and certain waves will make it change, like the slack of your line, you can keep in mind these timings. For example, I'll do 3 twitches, 1, 2, 3, and I have my eyes closed, 1, 2, and I know I'm on bottom right now. And I can kind of do it without having to look at my line every time, and like that it will make the action of the lure a lot more consistent. Oh, there we go. Jeez. Not a big fish, but it's a fish. Tiny combo. These fish are so cold. The water is freezing. It's okay, brother. Oh. And he just fell on the floor. Sorry. Okay, so keep going. And he fell again. So the amount of twitches you do just depends on how far you wanted to get off the bottom, obviously. And I would say like the speed that you're reeling at depends a lot on, again, how active the fish are. Like if the fish are really slow, like they are right now in winter, it's probably not good to kind of work it really quickly, because you want them to think they have the opportunity to catch it, right? So you just kind of reel very slowly. You can still twitch fast, but just reel very slow, and like that the lure has a lot of action, but it's moving a very short distance every time. So I'm just gonna be sure to keep it swimming exactly the same, like jig, 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 and let it sink, jig, 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 and let it sink. So the general action that you're doing should ideally stay the same. And what I'm doing here is I'm just following the jig with my rod, so I can let it sink slowly. But at the same time, there's not a lot of slack line, so if I get a bite and the fish runs with it, I can see it, since I don't have any tension. Oh, yeah, there was a bite.